Yeah, I would agree. And what's cool is like, I feel grateful that I've come in at the time that I have. Like, I haven't experienced, too many terrible locker rooms or practicing in a D3.
Martin recently caused a big stir online, and now critics of the WNBA are losing their minds. She boldly admitted that the league is getting special treatment, without backing down or apologizing, just standing firm in her statement. At the same time, traditional critics are focused on the value of hard work, while Kate seems to be enjoying her WNBA perks like royalty.
You girl.
Like, that's good. You shouldn't have to.
And you know what? Like, I'm not going to say sorry either. Like, I am thankful for that. Like,
Please don't.
All right?
You shouldn't say sorry.
But here's the thing also is like,
it wasn't your fault.
With the landscape of like how sports has changed and everything is like, people, like, we shouldn't feel sorry for like being in this space, and like we shouldn't feel sorry for like getting things that we deserve that people before us have been fighting for so long. So it's like, I feel grateful that I was born when I was born, and I'm here when
Kate Martin just took down every critic attacking Caitlyn Clark, all with a smile on her face. On Sue Bird's podcast, she made it clear neither she nor Caitlyn owe anyone an apology. And honestly, Caitlyn doesn't need to apologize. She's changed the game, and if the WNBA is finally recognizing her influence, that's just the way it is.
The landscape of like how sports has changed and everything is like, people, like, we shouldn't feel sorry for like being in this space, and like we shouldn't feel sorry for like getting things that we deserve that people before us have been fighting for so long. So
let's be real, the WNBA has been ignored for years. Icons like Cheryl Swoops, Lisa Leslie, and Tina Thompson put in the work when no one was paying attention. They played in nearly empty arenas, earned low salaries, and just hoped for a mention on ESPN. Now, the league is finally getting the recognition it deserves, but instead of celebrating, some former players are upset. Kate didn't hold back. She made it clear she won't apologize for the opportunities she and Caitlyn are now getting that others didn't. That's the kind of attitude we need.
Her defense, and in the pros, when she got some minutes early, just her, her star and people that were really connecting with her. And she's just the greatest young woman. I'm biased. She's my spouse's biological niece, my niece, and she was 5. She'd stay with us. But she had a dream. She put our poster above her bed in her room, looked up at the Hawk poster. And, then she, got good enough to be recruited. And the story is, I loved her, but I removed myself, right? That I told Lisa, I go, you got to fly down and you got to check that. This kid's blue collar. And Lisa flew down and she was like, Dad, right?
Yesterday, speaking about Kate Martin, I'm here to tell you.
Why should she apologize for progress? Should LeBron apologize because NBA players in the 60s had to work other jobs to make ends meet? Should Serena Williams apologize because women's tennis was once overlooked? Progress is part of the game. And let's be honest, Caitlyn Clark has earned every opportunity she's getting. The girl is a highlight reel, draining threes from way beyond the arc like they're nothing, and smashing records that have stood for years. The truth is, many people only started tuning into women's college basketball because of her, and it's okay to admit that.
People before us have been fighting for so long. So it's like, I feel grateful that I was born when I was born, and I am here when I am. And so,
at the right time.
But like, it's the same thing with like Caitlyn turning down the, 3-point shooting contest and things like that. Is like, come to the WNBA All-Star, like like all of these things, like this is great for our sport, but it's also great to like intermix and like for us to be here and like everything Tip said is like, we have more sponsorships, we have more opportunities, and like it's really cool to be able to showcase all of that, but also let's showcase it at WNBA All-Star too.
Some people want to act like Caitlyn Clark is only getting attention because she's white. Yes, race does influence media coverage, but let's be honest. If Caitlyn were 5'7" and lacked her athleticism, nobody would be paying attention. She's getting the hype because she's a once-in-a-lifetime talent. Put her in any era, and she'd still be dominating. And Kate Martin has been right there beside her at Iowa, fighting on the court together. So when Kate says, "I'm not sorry," about Caitlyn getting what she deserves, it's not just loyalty, it's the truth. Meanwhile, some WNBA veterans are throwing shade like it's a competition. Back in my day, we had to fly commercial. Yeah, and does that mean today's players should suffer too? That's like their grandpa bragging about walking 10 miles to school in the snow. Cool story, Gramps. We've got Uber now. Times change.
Definitely say my goals, like my short-term goals, change year after year. Last year, my goal was to get drafted, and then my goal was to make the roster, and then my goal was, to stay on that team and then give it my best and be ready when my name was called. And so, then my goal in the off season was to work on specific things, and then goal in unrivaled, whatever it is. But my goal for this year, I would say, is just to continue to be confident and know I belong.
Caitlyn Clark and the new generation are driving positive change in the WNBA. Arenas are packed, merchandise is selling out, and ratings are higher than ever. This is exactly what older players fought for. But instead of embracing the progress, some are stuck in bitterness, wanting the respect they never received. Tearing down Caitlyn Clark or dismissing today's players won't help. The answer is to celebrate the growth and keep pushing forward. Kate Martin understands this. She's not apologizing for seizing the opportunities in front of her, and she won't let Caitlyn's success be diminished just because the system was flawed in the past.
What Caitlyn has done for not just college basketball, but for women's basketball, period, I think has been great. The following, people watching the game, sellouts that we haven't seen ever. It just really bothers me, though, when people just take bits and pieces of what they want to take and they don't listen to everything and you don't hear everything. It wasn't personal. One, it was my opinion on how I think she'll be at the next level, because I do remember me saying that Caitlyn, to me, could be the best college shooter I've ever seen. When you put these expectations on these young women in college to go to the next level and be immediately dominant, and when that doesn't happen, then people come back and say, oh, she was a bust, she was a flop, she wasn't that good. Just let them do what they're doing in college, enjoy what they're doing in college, and let them become stars in the WNBA.
Honestly, it's pretty hilarious watching Kate shut down the critics. Some WNBA vets probably expected her to come on that podcast and say, yeah, it's so unfair, we're so lucky. But nope, she basically told them to cry about it, and we love that energy. So yeah, let's give Caitlyn Clark the recognition she deserves, and let's give Kate Martin hers too for standing strong. The WNBA is finally getting the spotlight it's always deserved, and instead of arguing about who had it worse, maybe we should just enjoy the moment. If this is just the start, the future of the league is about to get wild.
This is for everybody who's pretending like they don't understand why Caitlyn Clark's getting all the attention when they just showed up to the WNBA discussion too. Let's start with the fact that the women's national championship game outrated the men's by millions. First time that's ever happened. Which is why TV networks already decided to televise almost all of the Indiana Fever games. And road opponents have changed arenas in order to accommodate demand. Because yesterday's price is not today's price. And that's the reason Clark was on SNL ahead of the WNBA draft. And the draft ratings were higher than the previous 6 years combined, with Fanatics reporting Clark's jersey sales were higher than they've ever seen.
Caitlyn Clark is doing what only legends dreamed of, bringing attention, money, and endless conversation to the WNBA. Her best friend, Kate Martin, is right there with her, watching it all unfold and couldn't be prouder. But while the new generation is enjoying the rewards, the Ogies of the game are looking on, wondering why they didn't get the same recognition back in their day. Kate Martin is riding the Clark effect all the way to the big leagues, undrafted but picked up because, let's face it, when your best friend is packing arenas, you're going to get a little extra spotlight. It's like hanging out with the popular kid in school. You might not have done much, but you still end up in the VIP section. To be clear, Kate can definitely ball, but let's be real, it's the Caitlyn Clark endorsement that makes all the difference.
No one person means as much to their league, whatever league it is, as Caitlyn Clark means to the WNBA. And no person has done more for their league than what Caitlyn Clark has done for the WNBA. When we look back on this, Caitlyn Clark will be for the WNBA what Magic Johnson and Larry Bird were for the NBA. If this thing ever becomes as big as some people think it can become,